So, this is the first official show. You'll see a difference already. I am standing up. I do not think so well when I'm sitting down. I like to express myself with my arms. I like to move around a little bit, but of course I can't move around too much doing this. So, as I said to you last week, the first thing I want to talk about is the coaching world, but I think I've decided to split it into two because it's just too big a thing, and I don't want these to run much more than 10-15 minutes. And you probably don't want them to run much longer than that as well. So the first thing I'm going to speak about this week is the coaching industry, almost like a global industry type idea rather than talking about coaches per se. So the first thing I need to say before I do that is get one thing off my chest. My nickname is Soapy, and if you don't know why, my name is Chris Suter, and there's a Scottish cartoon character called Soapy Suter. So all my mates call me Soapy, and because of that, I'm going to stand on my soapbox right now, and it's not for any other reason than just to kind of dispel some, again, misinterpretation from something I wrote on social media at the weekend. So I wrote on Twitter and Facebook something around the idea of congratulating your players on social media. And the basic premise of what I was talking about was that I'm seeing a trend on social media where coaches or programs and so on are congratulating their players for reaching a hierarchical status of, say, national camp or regional camp and so on. And they're saying, congratulations on being selected for regional camps, good luck and smash it, blah, blah, blah. You know, to be honest, of course they can say whatever they want, but my issue is twofold. Number one, don't congratulate people for training. That everyone has to train, just crack on, do your training and get it done. Obviously, work hard, work smart, get better. That's what everyone has to do. Don't congratulate people for doing what everyone has to do, which is just train. So that's my first thing. The second one is that, and this is actually ironically trying to help the coaches, as soon as you put a status on something, especially parents, they will hook onto that and they will therefore value the higher status and therefore as a consequence devalue the lower status. So by you bigging up regional or national camps, what you actually are doing, without you realizing it, is putting a label on that, which means that they don't value your training environment so much. Now, of course, if you're a parent watching that, you might think that's a load of baloney, but trust me, in the last 26 years, I've seen tens, if not hundreds of thousands of parents, and a lot of them will hook onto like a hierarchical level and so on. So don't big up the levels, the regional, the national, because if you are in a county squad, then they don't value so much the club squad. If you're in a national squad, they don't value so much the county squad. Up here, we don't have regional squads. I think that's more down south in England. But yeah, just be careful of that. And that's all I was really meaning. You can congratulate your players. You can big them up. You can make them feel great. Personally, I think just do it face to face. Because you see some people congratulating someone for a win on Twitter and they're sat next to them at the tournament. What's that all about? It's like just turn your head and say well done to them. That's the most important thing, the relationship between you and the player. Now, of course, if you want to promote your academy, promote your business, then do it, but do it in a very, like a matter-of-fact way. Don't do it in a subtle way as if to subtly attach yourself to the player. Be proud of the fact that you coach the player, big them up in whatever way you want, but just be careful about when you do it, how you do it, what age they are. You know, they got some people bigging up 8-year-olds. You know, 8-year-olds are like, in Scottish school terms, that's P3 or P4. So just be careful what age you start to splash things all around social media, because as much as it's nice for the parents to read it and the kids to see it and their picture up and so on, you're starting to already put pressure on them, label them as something and so on. So I've seen a lot of this over the last year or so, and it seems to be getting, I'm going to say worse and worse because that's just my opinion, But do not think that I'm saying you should not congratulate players. It's more the effects it has on other stuff that you have to be careful of. So that's me off my soapbox now. And now the topic that I wanted to speak to you about is the coaching industry. Now the reason I'm saying this is I spend the majority of my working time working with hundreds of coaches, and so I'm in a good position to see trends. And the first trend that I'm seeing more and more often now is that coaches are, I'm going to say, working too hard, but just working inefficiently. So their business model is, I earn, let's say, £30 an hour on a tennis court. If I work 40 hours a week, that makes me £1,200 a week. I know I'm probably going to get rained off X amount of times a year if I'm working outside only, so I might make somewhere between £800 and £900 a week across the board. Therefore, I want to make more money than that. And what happens is they either put their fees up or they work harder, work more hours. And what tends to happen is coaches are working in a kind of strange way compared to what, say, a typical job is. It's not a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. That's no surprise to hear. But what is a surprise is that a lot of coaches now are condensing maybe even 20 hours work into Saturday and Sunday. It becomes their hub of work, and they are absolutely grinding it out on a Saturday and Sunday, and they're making maybe about 50% of their weekly income in these 2 days. For me, that is not healthy, it's not sustainable, and it leads to bitterness. It can lead to sometimes illness. It can, in extreme situations, lead to breakdowns, like fits of depression, mental health issues, and so on. So it's a big, big thing. And of course, because I'm in the game of helping people, and especially coaches at the moment, I find myself giving more and more advice around how they actually structure their business. Now, the easiest way for me to think about this is, what do other industries do? So if I compare another industry that is of, I would say, similar length to the tennis coaching world, and I mentioned this in my intros, that we have to remember that in industrial terms, tennis coaching is still a baby. I've been doing it for about 26 years, but even when I started, I think I was only one of maybe 8 or 9 full-time coaches in Scotland in 1992. So now there are probably a couple of hundred people that are full-time in the last 25, 26 years. So it has grown a lot, but not as big as other industries like the tech world. I know that it's a different world completely, but the tech world, if you think how much that's exploded in the last 10 years, it's unbelievable. So let's think about the tech world actually just for a second. What is it that makes the tech world so successful? Of course, it's supply and demand. People are into gadgets, into smartphones, tablets, laptops, and so on. Technology now, I think we're fast approaching a time where we could walk into our house and just say, lights on, TV on, heating on, and it'll just happen automatically. So the growth in the tech industry in the last 10 years has gone absolutely through the roof. But for me, the biggest reason that the tech industry is growing so quickly is that they're never happy with where they're standing, where they are at the moment. If they stand still, all their competitors overtake them. And I love that mentality. And the biggest thing that makes them grow is feedback. Essentially, they're learning from their mistakes. So it might be an app that's launched, it has teething problems, it gets feedback from the people that use it, they fix it, they evolve it. Everything's getting updated on a weekly, monthly basis. So I love that thing about the tech industry. So take that learning into the tennis world. We're seeing more and more coaches getting bitter, overworked, disillusioned with the game, churning out hours, not actually being productive as they could be. So we need to learn from other industries. So let's take something that's closer to home, like the fitness industry that I mentioned already. It's probably the similar length in time. Maybe, if you think back to the 70s and 80s when they started doing fitness videos and all the kind of cheesy sweatbands and all that sort of stuff. I remember that when I was a kid, so I know it's roughly the same age. It feels like the tennis world could learn a lot from the fitness world. Now, I don't know enough about the business models that they use, but one of the most common things I'm starting to see in the fitness industry is direct debit. So I'm going to throw this idea out to you, because I don't want to speak for too much longer. I want to throw this idea out to you. Imagine if you could produce or develop a package, a service that includes X, Y, and Z. So X might be group lessons, Y might be events, Z might be maybe the odd individual, but that's going to be hard to kind of factor in. But it might be small groups, it might be something different. So you've got X, Y, and Z. If you put that together, could you put a value on that and think about how many people you would need to sign up to guarantee you a definite cash flow coming in every month? So let's imagine it's £20 a month, and for that you get 2 squads and 1 event. Let's park the individual lessons for now. Is that worth £20 a month? Would you get 200 people signing up to you, paying £20 a month, guaranteeing you all of that income every single month? And it means that you don't feel so stressed about busting out the hours. Then you can actually think about how you productively use the rest of the hours. And it might be that you only do this in the term time, so you have a direct debit for term, you have a direct something different for your holiday camps and so on. So that's what I want to throw out to you. Is it possible that in the tennis world we could create a package that a coach could put a value to per month? And you know what's going to happen, just like most people. If somebody signs up for a gym, you're going to get a small percentage of people that absolutely bust it, like they go every day and they milk out on their direct debit. You get a tiny percentage that barely use it but still pay their direct debit, and then you have your hub of people that use it fairly regularly. And it's the hub of people that we need to embrace. You're going to get your few that are there every day milking it for what it's worth, and that's great. So think about that. Now, if you are from another industry, so let's say you're a Pilates teacher, an aerobics instructor, a golf coach, team sport coach, so basketball, netball, hockey. What models do you use? Now, it might be you're watching this and you've heard some of the figures and going, 30 quid an hour times 40 hours a week, that's like an amazing salary. So if that's the case, please still put something underneath about what you do in your sport. It might be that you're funded through a governing body, it might be funded through sponsorship and so on. But if you are from a self-employed industry, what models do you use to help create consistent cash flow? Do you have passive income models that you use? That maybe it might be blogs, vlogs, and podcasts, or it could be e-courses, it could be something. Just come up, please put underneath all the things that you do, because I really want to help tennis coaches max out on their productivity. And to do that, I think they need to declutter their minds, and to declutter their minds, they need to have much more cash flow coming in. Of course, you could have pro shop, you could have tuck shop, cafe, all that sort of stuff. You could make money from events, but we'll talk about that another time. But it's this kind of hub of cash flow that I want coaches to focus on. So if you've got any ideas, post them underneath. This is what I mean about healthy conversations. From here, hopefully we can have healthy conversations. If you want to speak about the thing I mentioned at the start, please do so. But please know that I just wrote it from a good place, worrying about what detrimental labels that you could be creating for your players and the parents, what hierarchy kind of levels you're putting in and so on, to devalue what you do. So anything you want to write down, write it below, and we can start our first healthy conversation. Okay? So until next week, where I'll talk more about the actual coaching world, you take care. I'm off to Singapore tomorrow, so I'll probably do some videos and stuff from Singapore, put it all together for a little package next week. If you've got any thoughts on what I should do in Singapore, pop them down below as well, and I will crack on with that. Okay? Take care, and I'll see you next week.